presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are Florida.
Jeep presents Major League Baseball, Marlins and Phillies on a warm evening in Miami. Roof is shut, AC's going, and the Marlins are going. Justin Nicolino on his way out to the bullpen. The Phillies and the Fish, game 2 last night. Marlins a 4-1 win. Yeah, the Fish all of a sudden are winning ball games. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollingsworth. The Marlins have won 2 in a row. They've won 3 of 4. They won that series against the Angels. Now, keeping it going is the challenge.
Well, no doubt about it. The offense is starting to roll. The starting pitching has been outstanding. Edinson Volquez last night picking up his first Marlins win. How about it? Great performance last night. Yeah, this Phillies team is struggling, picking up wins when you're supposed to pick up wins. You're the home team right now. Like to see them take this series tonight against the Phillies.
Some managers, when they make out their lineup, take out the spreadsheets, look at the numbers and all of that. Some managers use feel or their gut. And I think for Don Mattingly, putting Giancarlo Stanton in the 2 spot, it was a little bit of gut, but now the spreadsheets and the numbers are showing he was right.
Well, you know what? If the first time he did it, he enjoyed it because it was a fresh new perspective of the 2-hole, well, guess what? If the reasoning now, it's because it's performance-based. He is doing a fantastic job in the 2-hole. The swing has been a little shorter. The contact has been better. The hits have been all over the field. And guess what? The power hasn't gone away either.
That is our Napa know-how. Stanton in the 2 spot. It starts with the starting pitchers. Let's talk about those. Let's start with Justin Nicolino for Miami.
Well, Justin's going to have to move the ball around the zone. It is his game. So far, 2 starts for the Marlins this year. 1 really good one against the Atlanta Braves. 1 not so good against the Dodgers, but is always the case. He has got to mix his pitch as well.
Vince Velasquez and his fastballs of fury are here tonight. The guy throws hard, and he's tough against Miami.
Well, he has been. In his last start, they really felt like was a step forward. He was elevating his fastball, getting a lot of swing and misses at the top of the zone. That will be the challenge tonight for the Marlins. Get him down.
A complete opposite from the changeups of Jeremy Hellickson last night. Oh, and one more thing. Emails and tweets, kids. It's Twitter Tuesday tonight. We want you to be involved, so hop on board for the Fish and the Phillies.
YELICH. It is time for another Twitter and email Tuesday, and tonight the conversation is focused on the NL East. What do you think about the way the division is playing out so far? At this point in the season, who would be your NL East MVP? Tell us what you think. Send your tweets to @FoxMarlins. Those emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com. And don't forget to use tonight's hashtag NL East. And when it comes to this division, there certainly are a lot of talented players. For more on that topic, let's check in now with Craig Minerini and Jeff Nelson. And guys, when you take a look at the NL East, what players have really stood out to you so far this season?
Well, Jess, a lot of players. Nelly, let's pick a couple. Go ahead.
I'm going up in New York with the New York Mets. Michael Conforto, he's finally getting a chance to play. Cespedes got injured early. 320, 13 home runs, 33 RBIs, leads the team. This guy's a stud.
Well, Washington's Ryan Zimmerman was the heart and soul of the Nats for a while, but the last few years with that shoulder, moved over from third to first. He has not been a big contributor. Wow, is he back?
Wow, he's
374,
right.
He's second in the league. He's third in homers with 14. He has a potential Triple Crown type season going. He's been unbelievable.
He was hitting over 400 for a while, especially early in the month of April.
Boy, he was been great. So leading the Nats to their big lead so far in the National League East. Those are just two of the star players so far. Bryce Harper obviously has had a nice bounce back as well for the Nats, among others. All right, more coming up here. It is the middle game of this three-game set against the Philadelphia Phillies. Vince Velasquez gets another crack at the Marlins. Justin Nicolino, the lefty, goes for Miami, trying to give the Fish a 2-0 lead before the afternoon finale tomorrow.
Low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance Event. By Kaiser University, learn more at kaiseruniversity.edu. And by your local Toyota dealers, let's go places. Glad that you've arrived here tonight. So is Justin Nicolino, the Orlando native, is on his way out to the mound. The Phillies and the Fish, game 2 of 3. That's right. Get her going. Southwest Airlines brings you the starting lineup for the Phillies. The Fightins go with Cesar Hernandez, the switch hitter, at second base to lead it off. Howie Kendricks in left. Aaron ALTHERR in center. Tommy Joseph in the cleanup spot. Pete Mackanin has swapped Michael Saunders and Cameron Rupp. Rupp now 5th, Saunders 6th. Ty Kelly, the switch hitters, at third base. Freddie Galvis is at short. And Vince Velasquez will hit 9th.
There's Justin Nicolino on the mound for the Marlins tonight, making his third Marlins start. 2 starts. First one really good against the Atlanta Braves, 6 innings, 1 earned run, and not so good against the Dodgers. It was about 10 days ago. 4 innings, 5 earned runs, did give up a couple home runs. So don't read too much into that 5-4. It's kind of a split decision right now. You'll see the fastball, the changeup, the curveball. That cutter has been a great pitch for Nicolino. But again, mixing his pitches well and throwing strikes always the key.
Defensively, look out.
Watch out for your finger. All right, here's your Marlins defense tonight. They look to win a series. OZUNA, Yelich, and Stanton in the outfield. Dietrich Riddle, Gordon Bohr, JT Realmuto back behind the plate along with Justin Nicolino.
Nicolino trying to follow up a really nice start from Edinson Volquez last night. And it's been a while since he's pitched, almost 10 days there. 4 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs. He faced the Dodgers, lost to the Dodgers, gave up home runs to some of the unsung Dodger heroes so far this year. Brett Eibner and Chris Taylor got him for home runs.
Well, again, he's going to have to mix his pitches well, which is always the case. And why do you say? Because he's not overpowering. That's really what it comes down to. He does use his fastball about 57% of the time, averages 89, 90 miles an hour on his fastball. Decent changeup, okay curveball, but that cutter, it really has been his most effective fastball. Going to lean on that tonight. The way that the Phillies are constructed and the way that they're struggling, wants to be aggressive.
Phillies certainly are struggling. Marlins were struggling and have shown signs of pulling out of it. They'd love to get themselves their 20th win here tonight and take their 2nd consecutive series. To do that, Justin Nicolino needs to slow down the Phils. Cesar Hernandez, Howie Kendrick, Aaron Althea to begin our night tonight. Hernandez last night, 1 for 4, and he struck out 3 times. Nicolino gets a letter-high strike on Hernandez.
Good start to the ball game right there.
In the air to right, Stanton sees it and has it. And of course, last night not only was Edinson Volquez good, but the Marlins bullpen was very good as well. Harlan Garcia, Nick Wickren, Kyle Bearclaw, AJ Ramos were terrific. Ramos struck out 3 in the 9th to pick up the save.
Well, in my personal opinion, over the last week, and the Marlins have been picking up more and more wins, one of their more complete wins last night. Good pitching, everything fed off each other.
That voice you hear, Doug Eddings, home plate umpire. Corey Blazers at first, Jeff Nelson at second, Laz Diaz at third. Howie Kendrick fresh off the disabled list, activated last night. And the Major League veteran takes one on the outside corner for a strike.
Well, Howie being one of the guys this Phillies team really leaning on. Good to get him back in the lineup. Veteran leadership presence. Some younger players. They struggle through the month of May.
1-1, little dribbler foul. Well, the month of May, let's face it, both teams are looking at that calendar almost like it's one of those calendars where you count down Christmas.
Yes.
To when it gets to June 1st. And Pete Buchanan and Don Mattingly may have a brief ceremony when it hits June, because neither team has played well at all in May. Here's a 1-2 to Kendrick.
Yeah, that's a good pitch right there by Nicolino. We talked about it. You even saw Howie Kendrick almost take a step across the plate. He was looking away. Nicolino's going to have to pitch to both sides, particularly those righties, keeping him honest.
Justin's 2-2 pitch. Change up, foul back out of play. Now Nicolino and his history against the Phillies is pretty good. He's pitched well against the Phillies. He's 1-0, a 2.61 ERA, 3 career starts against Philadelphia. Hasn't faced him this year. He's faced the Braves and the Dodgers. Two balls, 2 strikes. The Phillies have some cold hitters who are not in their lineup. You see Aaron Althea there. He has replaced Odubel Herrera in center field and in the 3 spot in the lineup.
Yeah, it's been kind of a combo. Cal Franco not in there tonight as well.
Tommy Joseph watching from the rail. Bouncer toward short. Riddle approaches and smooths it on over to first. And there are 2 outs here in the first inning, and here comes ALTHERR.
ALTHERR, one of their hottest hitters. This is really the tougher part of this lineup to navigate. This Phillies team has struggled offensively, but ALTHERR and Joseph have been swinging the bat particularly well in the month of May and coming into this series. See the numbers right there, 304, 8 homers, 27 RBIs, got 20 RBIs in the month of May.
ALTHERR takes a strike. The slump that Odubel Herrera was in was pretty extensive. 1 for 22, 8 strikeouts. If you want to go further, 4 for 29, a 127 average his last 16 games. ALTHERR, the big right-handed bat, got good speed, as we told you last night. Born in Germany. His mother in the service, an American, and his father a German soccer star. Another good pitch. Nicolino's there. Bore a little flip and a nice clean first inning. 1, 2, 3. Go the Phils. Miami gets their first swing. Next. And Fish in a scoreless start here in Miami. Bobble along with us. Southwest brings you the lineup. D. Gordon. Nice hit streak for D. Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, Justin Bour, JT Realmuto, Derek Dietrich, JT Riddle, and Justin Nicolino.
On the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies, Vince Velasquez, 2-4, 5.55 ERA. You see the strikeouts, that's the one thing that stands out, tells you how powerful he can be, and he's a big, strong arm, loves to throw that fastball, but he has struggled. Only 2 quality starts in 9 starts this season, has given up a home run in 8 of 9 as well. So the Philadelphia Phillies are really trying to get him right, feeding off that last one, which was a good one. Better results.
And a strike to D. Gordon. Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich behind him. Gordon last night a 1 for 4 with a double and an RBI. And Velasquez with that 93-mile-an-hour fastball is out in front 1 and 2. He loves the fastball, and he should. It's a really good pitch for him, and it has been ever since he got to the big leagues.
Now you see the start against the Marlins back on April 26th. Had a good fastball that day as well, including a good slider.
Gordon lifts a fly ball towards the line. It brings Kendrick over into foul territory, and he makes the catch. Here are the Phillies defensively.
A little bit of a different look. Keep trying to find that winning formula. Kendrick gets the start in left field. That's 2 in a row. ALTHERR over in center. Saunders in right. Kelly In at third base for Franco, Galvis, Hernandez, Tyler Joseph. At first base, Rupp and Velasquez. Excuse me, Tommy Joseph.
All right, here's Giancarlo Stanton. Now, last night, Stanton entered the ball game without a lot of success against the Phillies starter Jeremy Hellickson. And he hasn't had a lot of success, or actually any success, in 8 at-bats against Vince Velasquez.
Well, things are starting to turn in that 2-hole. Looks like they did last night. They certainly can tonight as well.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Just a big fastball and a big swing. Not so much for Stanton. We'll see what Velasquez comes with at 0-2. Another fastball. Average fastball 94 on the season for Velasquez.
Well, he's been talking about it quite a bit lately. You heard me talking about it in the pregame show, elevating. Last ball game that he picked up 7 strikeouts against the Rockies. All 7 of those strikeouts were elevated fastballs in the zone.
That is strike 3 called. Fastball. And Doug Eddings rings up Giancarlo Stanton. Well, there were no mystery there.
Well, all indicators would be that tonight Velasquez was going to be aggressive. Again, that 5.55 ERA is shocking for many. He's still a young man. He's only 24 years old, trying to figure out his way and how to succeed every 5 days at the major league level. They love his arm, but he's run into some bumps. Part of it is that fastball. He's going to lean on it a little bit more tonight than he has this season.
Christian Yelich would be one of those bumps. 11 at bats, 2 homers against Velasquez. Yelich lifts one into shallow center. ALTHERR approaches, makes the catch. Both starters look sharp. Velasquez and his fastball, Nicolino and his cutter. Second. Thursday is Wellmax Senior Thursday. Fans 65 and older get a complimentary ticket. See the Marlins and the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are in for 4. Valid ID must be shown at the East Ticket Office for redemption here at Marlins Park. For more information, visit marlins.com/promotions. Justin Nicolino back to work. Tommy Joseph, Cameron Rupp, and Michael Saunders against Justin Nicolino. And a fastball for a strike. Joseph 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts in yesterday's ball game. Edinson Volquez punched out 5, and the bullpen would pick up 6 strikeouts. Joseph turns on one and fouls it into the seats.
Well, Joseph has had a solid month of May, batting .310, 6 doubles, 7 home runs, 17 RBIs. That's why you see him in the 4th spot in the lineup. He's really climbed. After the Marlins saw him the first time, it's definitely a little bit colder, but one of the few Phillies that's got his bat going in the month of May.
Chopper over the middle. That's Gordon, who backhands, fires, and gets him. That's the benefit of having a shortstop's arm, which Gordon has. Speaking of shortstops, first let's take a look at D's work behind the bag.
Yeah, why not? Great range. Look at this, all the way to the other side of the bag. Plant and throw. That's knowing your base runner right there. Tommy Joseph hustling down the line, but not moving too fast. Able to plant and throw. Doesn't have to do it all in one motion. Nice strong throw back across the bore. One down here in the second.
Cameron Rupp, who's in a pretty extensive slide right now. 2 for his last 27. He fouls it out of play. All right, our first email of the night is about that guy, JT Riddle. It's from Roberto. Wants to know, when Echeverria comes back, who's playing short? Well, we talked about it a couple nights ago. There's a bouncer over the middle. Same spot, same play, same throw.
Same result.
D. Gordon gets the second out. We talked about the other night. If you're Don Mattingly, it's a great problem to have.
I was trying to combine Echeverria and Riddle. I just couldn't come up with it. I didn't mean to delay on you right there, but those are 2 hard names to, combine. Trying to come up with an answer. Well, listen, JT Riddle, is he going to lose a start or 2? He probably is, because Echeverria is going to come back. He's a tremendous defender. He was off to a good offensive start. I don't think he's going to be relegated to the bench. I think you're going to find a way to do a little bit of both.
Michael Saunders is here. Well, there's a couple of other variables too, and that is third base, with Martin Prado battling the hamstring. And then you've got Miguel Rojas. When Rojas comes back, certainly he's going to need some playing time as well. Again, it's a great problem to have, and oftentimes these things work themselves out once everybody gets healthy. Derek Dietrich at third base had a big 2-run homer last night, but a good question, and it's nice to have depth.
It certainly is good to see, because it was an issue a couple weeks ago. This Marlins offense quite inconsistent. In all honesty, in my opinion, one of the guys that really started to turn things for this Marlins team was JT Riddle. Gave this lineup length and depth as he started to perform from the bottom of the lineup.
Right off the glove, Nicolino knocks it down, throws him out, and Michael Saunders is out, and that's a 10-pitch inning for Justin Nicolino. And a scoreless start here. Marlins. Our hashtag tonight for Twitter Tuesday, Email Tuesday is NL East. And as Marcell Ozuna stands in, he takes ball one down. We've got good audio from Doug Eddings tonight, the home plate umpire. Justin Bour, JT Realmuto right behind Ozuna. Dozen homers for Marcell. He sits that one a mile high and into the seats. All right, Twitter time for you, partner. What you got? Alex wants to know, who does Todd think is the best player from each National League East team? Let's go with MVP from each National League East team so far this year. Give me an MVP from all the 5 precincts.
Well, I'll check in with the Atlanta Braves first. I would go Freddie Freeman. Despite the injury, I think he was performing at the highest level, was bound for the All-Star game. So I'll still go there. Go in a couple different positions, I guess, alternatively, but that's my answer. The Nats, I'm going to go Zimmerman. I know the obvious answer is Harper for most.
Marcell Ozuna, and it's gone. And Miami has a 1-0 lead.
Marcell Ozuna continues to pound the baseball at home at Marlins Park. One of the best hitters in all of baseball. Shows off that power once again. This is the 2-seam fastball. You see how he gets it around a little bit. And we talked about how he wants to elevate tonight. Well, that's not high enough, ladies and gentlemen. That is at the belt, and that got turned around quick. No doubter for Marcell Ozuna.
Here is Justin Bour. And Bour takes out. Bour 1 for 4 last night. So Ozuna's got 13 homers. Bour has 13. Stanton has 13. Changeup, 89 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that's a little conversation there. We'll let that go for a little bit, but he does not have great separation between his changeup. In fact, that's the one pitch that he throws that gets hit the hardest.
That one's hit hard, a liner to right, and that's over the head of Saunders. Bour around first, on his way to second, and he's going to get there with a double. Two loud shots. The Ozuna homer and another Bour double.
Well, this is the change. You honed in on it. We talked about it. Why not? Up until that at bat, hitters hitting .464 against that pitch. Now, he doesn't throw it often, only about 11% of the time, but hung one there. Justin Bour all over it. That was a rocket off the right field wall. That's got exit velocity all over it. Oh.
Well, I guess this would be an appropriate time, or maybe inappropriate time, for Auto Nation's scouting report on Vince Velasquez.
Oh, my not. Yeah, I guess maybe we're a little late to the party tonight. Things are really starting to happen. All right, thinking ahead has struggled at times this season with the mental side of the game. Well documented. The Phillies love his makeup, his physical tools. He's got a lot of good things, but they have to get him to push through some of this in-game management. I think you're seeing it right now. Well, check this out. You see runners on base. Every situation, whether it's runner on first and second, first and third, all the runners on base situations, batting averages against Velasquez are above 300. That tells you in-game management has not been on. And the riser, that is that 4-seam fastball that we've talked about. It is his bread and butter, and when things start to turn on him, it's what he leans on the most.
JT Realmuto and a strike. Now, Realmuto has thrived against Velasquez. Not a lot of at-bats, 8, but he has 4 hits.
JT Realmuto, velocity not an issue. Does it very well. Short, compact swing. See how he sets his hands up there by his ears. He gets into the zone and stays in the zone very long.
Realmuto, right center field. That ball's well hit. ALTHERR in pursuit. He's going to run it down, makes the catch. Bour tags and charges towards third. And so JT Realmuto gets the job done with a long, deep fly ball.
Nice read by Bour on this fly ball as well. You see the high fives. That's what this is all about. Okay, watch Justin Bour here. Okay, sees the fly ball. Looks fairly routine. He's kind of going halfway, but then realizes that ALTHERR's got a beat on it. Okay, what does he do? He's got his shoulders turned. I can get myself over to third base, even though I may not be the fastest runner. Good time to advance.
Well, right now, almost the entire dugout for the Phillies is spilling out on the field. You've got manager, a pitching coach, trainers, and they're all making a pathway out to the mound to look at Vince Velasquez. Pete McCannon and Bob McClure look like they're trying to select a reliever, and they're going to have to. Let's see the last pitch. See if there's anything we see in Velasquez. He's clutching that right side.
Well, you know what's interesting, and I don't always overreact to not seeing the velocity early. We had mentioned it. We saw 92, 93, but his fastball velocity typically is about 2 or 3 miles an hour higher than that. I thought maybe it was just the first inning and kind of getting into form. Maybe something was bothering him.
Now, whoever is selected is going to take as long as they need to warm up. It's an injury replacement on the mound, and so this is going to take a while. But you know what? We've got emails, we've got tweets, we got tricks up our sleeve. 1-0 Miami. Saw last night has as long as he wants to warm up. And so a 1-0 Miami lead. Justin Boers at third, Derek Dietrich at the plate, and there's one out. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth. Welcome up to the booth. Emails and tweets. So let's go right into it. We, over the course of the first, 51 games so far this year, have had a few, and at times many, comments about Fox Tracks. Fox Tracks tracks the strikes and all of that. This year we've gone to a new system, and we had sort of that vapor trail that we've been showing. Keys had a tweet wanting to know if you could make the Fox box stay longer, because sometimes it was tough to tell where it ended. Well, we've added a few bells and whistles. Now we've got the little blue circle and the miles per hour.
Right, good to see. Certainly keeps people engaged and involved, and that's what you want to see at home, so we're going to do our best to give it to you. You want to see that velocity, you want to see where those pitches are. We ask the same questions up here in the booth all the time. You wouldn't believe what goes on behind the scenes, but we're trying to give it to you as quickly and as cleanly as we possibly can. So Fox Tracks has been good, and it's improving.
Yeah, so now we've got the vapor trail, we've got the little
circle. Blue, and it's good. It's in a good spot.
Nice. One more email, and then we're going to go down to Craig. Dave wants to know, would Bryce Harper have been suspended for more games if the helmet had landed and hit his target?
We think alike. I asked the question, and I do believe that would be the case. I think it would be 6 games and 6 games had that helmet ended up leaving his hand and hitting Strickland. I think that's exactly how it would have gone. Good for him it didn't, because I think that would have been
an awful thing if something would have come out of that. If that helmet would have hit him in the head or the face, I mean, I think Bryce Harper would have regretted that.
And that was the news. Hunter Strickland got 6 games, Harper 4. Now let me ask you this question, because I liked what Harper said after the game. Harper said after the game, look, it's been 3 years. The guy has a World Series ring. They beat us in the postseason. If he's carrying this around for 3 years, then there's something wrong.
Right. Well, you would think in the world of baseball, there's so much communication behind the scenes that is, you know, you're able to go through channels to get the guys. If there was an issue on Strickland's part, I think that he would have an acquaintance or somebody he knows or an agent or somebody that has a way of getting to Harper and say, listen, we need to talk about something, or we need to, you know, clean things up here. There's no way that you carry that around in your back pocket and then have it play out on national television 3 years later. Listen, I don't know. At least for me personally, I don't know how living with it. If you're Strickland, how could you live that long with that in your back pocket without wanting to get some, you know, some clarification on maybe how those home runs went down back in 2014?
All right, let's check in with Craig now. Craig?
All right, Rich, thank you very much. It's hard to not notice the Marlins' power surge at home. They are hitting homers at a rate almost double their history here at Marlins Park. We saw another one in this game. Coming into this game, 1.25 homers per game at home. Their average going back from 12 to 16. Look at this. 0.65 is the overall average. Even last year, 0.73, 0.65. In fact, in 2013, they hit only 36 homers all year, and they've hit 31 already. So why? Well, it's a different opinion. Marcell OZUNA, yes, the ball is carrying a little better. Justin Bour, I don't think so. And Giancarlo Stanton told me, let's check back in a month. It's getting hot now. Let's see how the ball carries over the next month. We'll revisit it. But good numbers for Miami.
All right, thank you, Craig. Big spot here for Derek Dietrich. Infield's in. Mark Leiter Jr. on the mound. Justin Bour is at third base. Marlins trying to pick up this run with 1 out in the bottom of the 2nd. And a fastball to Dietrich is a strike. Marlins saw this right-hander last night for an inning. He came in and pitched that bottom of the 8th inning, and he went 1-2-3. Dietrich did not face him last night.
Give you a quick scouting report. 338 average. The issue has been more the walks than the hits. He's been very good, has not been giving up any hits at all. In fact, almost, well, really outstanding. 16 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed. He's actually given up more walks than hits. So, again, you see only the 10 strikeouts. He is a
Dietrich on the ground, and it kicks off the glove of the usually sure-handed Hernandez, and into right field it goes, and the Marlins have a run. Well, a few things went Miami's way last night, and something goes their way here tonight.
Well, no doubt about it. For Hernandez, I know sometimes playing the infield in puts you in a little bit of a different position, but decides to go to the backhand right here on a high chopper to the right side. Watch this. See that high chopper? And I know it gets kind of in between, but he turned it into a do-or-die play right there by going to that backhand, and it leaks out into right field. It's going to go as an error.
So an error, no RBI, but a run across. And here's JT Riddle with Dietrich at first base. Mark Leiter Jr. is the son of the former Philly and the nephew of our good friend Al Leiter. Making his major league debut this year, much like the guy at the plate, JT Riddle. Knocks that one back foul. Riddle 1 for 3 in last night's game. A look at Leiter and Riddle, two guys, because their ball clubs, I guess, scuffled, all of a sudden found themselves with opportunity, and they've both taken advantage of it. Leiter, as you pointed out, the numbers are really good, and Riddle has been outstanding for Miami. A swing and a miss.
Well, for Leiter, much like his father, Mark, throws it all. There was a split finger fastball, has a little cutter slash slider that he'll throw, curveball, 2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball. You see that splitty grip right there to start.
And he throws it, and he throws it quite well. Riddle swings and misses. And that brings up Nicolino. All right, a brawl tweet coming. Where's the, oh, see the blue. Yeah, very nice.
Right there under the corner. And Action on the pitch as well.
A brawl tweet for you from Travis.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw this one, so I may have to help you on this one. Which brawl was more entertaining, the Nationals and Giants, or the Niger Morgan Gabby Sanchez incident from long ago?
I did see this one.
I would go Gabby Sanchez.
I actually saw this one earlier today. I thought that one was a little bit more entertaining, just because of the way the Marlins got involved, and with Morgan going out there and then the ensuing, call it a little bit of a beatdown. That's kind of how it was played out. That Gabby Sanchez over there at first base came flying in and got a great blow at Morgan.
Well, the backstory there was Morgan had taken out and injured pretty extensively Brett Hayes, the backup catcher. Hayes was standing behind the plate. Morgan came across and absolutely rocked him, and the play wasn't close at home plate, and the Marlins were incensed. And the next day they got to Morgan. It was Chris Volstad, I believe, who threw the pitch.
Yeah.
It was Gabby Sanchez who was the MVP.
Well, it's so interesting. If in fact, obviously, those are the circumstances that Morgan, and again, threw behind him, didn't actually get to him, did they? If I remember correctly, the pitch was about 2 feet behind him. Morgan just charged the mound. When you charge the mound like that, you're on your own for about 5 to 10 seconds. It's you against the entire team.
Nicolino, little tapper. Leiter has it. Phillies have lost a pitcher. Marlins have gained a run and lead it going into the third. 2-0.
Telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and the descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
Whew. Impressive disclaimer.
Always.
That we are submitting that disclaimer for the
an award,
2017 Major League Baseball Disclaimer of the Year. We'll see how it goes. I like it.
Hey, he's in first place in my book.
Terry did a terrific job. Glad you're with us tonight. There he is, Terry. Tip the cap. That a baby. He's got that tally light going. Ty Kelly, Freddie Galvis, Vince Velasquez coming up. Facing Justin Nicolino. Kelly, a versatile infielder, has been with 3 teams already this year. Started with the Mets, then went up to Toronto, and then now with the Phillies. Actually, he's been on 4 teams, and the first team he was with had an incredible run, and that was Team Israel in the World Baseball Classic. They won their round, advancing from South Korea, and ended up in Tokyo, where they took down Cuba but were eliminated and did not advance to the finals of the World Baseball Classic. Kelly played third base for that team. And he takes a pitch on the outside corner. That's a ball and a strike. Had some nice pinch hits for the Mets last year down the stretch. NICOLINO misses in. Justin has faced the minimum so far.
He's done a very nice job. 5 ground ball outs of the 6 recorded so far.
Little roller up the line. Back to our tweets and emails. This is a good one. Santiago has this. What is the reason pitchers turn to middle infielders and makes the hang loose type gesture when a batter gets on first? That is to distinguish who has the bag when a ball is hit back to the mound. So it's not necessarily hang loose like you see in Honolulu. It's essentially pointing at the infielder and saying, it's you and me if I get the ball.
Yep.
It's a good question, though. I like the hang loose. End of the bat, Bohr backhands, flips. NICOLINO is there just to beat Kelly to the bag. All right, here's one for you, since we've already opened the door to Hunter Strickland and Bryce Harper. Patrick wants to know, why do you think Buster Posey did not try to stop Bryce Harper?
It's a good question. A lot of times you'll see a catcher, matter of fact, most times you'll see a catcher jump in front of a player. I don't know, I feel like the answer to this question, without speaking to any of the parties involved, really hearing what he said afterward, I would answer it like this. Because he knew it was coming. And I think that's really what it comes down to. He knows when that went down, his pitcher, Strickland, obviously once Harper got drilled, that there was something already going on. I think even going back all the way to 2014, he knew that Strickland had a little thing for him as he was staring at him running around the bases. So that would be my answer. And I think that that's just a fight that he didn't feel was his to fight or his to stop. And that might be the right way of putting it. A lot of people I know out there are saying, well, it was Bryce Harper and this, you know, like there's some sort of, you know, the elite club of America, you know, like, well, if it was somebody else, I would have stopped him, but because it was Bryce Harper, I'm not going to do it. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I just think under those circumstances, and
that one's foul. Nice play
catch.
There. Very nice.
As I believe he said after the ball game, it wasn't his fight.
Hey, God love Buster Posey then.
That's kind of how I understood it. And, you know, again, some catchers will say, I'll defend my teammate no matter who it is, no matter what they did. And it's kind of the unwritten rule of baseball. I really haven't agreed with it my entire life. I've never understood it.
It's a bouncer towards short. Big hop up for Riddle. Clean throw, but it was up the line. And Galvis just gets in under the swipe tag of Justin Bohr. It's going to be a throwing error on the young shortstop.
So smooth. Everything about this play okay, except the release is up the line. You see the throw, it doesn't have any kind of tailing action. Galvis, give him credit for hustling down the line. JT Riddle takes a little bit too much time. That little extra step right there. That throws on the bag. He's out. Fortunately up the line, that'll be an E6.
Here is Leiter. He's going to square to bunt. In his minor league career, a couple hits. Dad would be proud of that. Major league career 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Bunts right through it, and it counts 1 ball, 1 strike.
Let me finish my MVPs real quick. We asked that
right.
a little while ago. I'll throw them out there. You throw yours in as well, Rich, when we get a moment in the game. I'm going to go Zimmerman with Washington, Conforto with the Mets, and ALTHERR here with the Phillies.
Wow, who would have thought day one Aaron ALTHERR would be your 2-month MVP for the Phils? All right, well, wait a minute. You forgot it, Steve.
His stock has gone up. I already did the Braves.
The Marlins.
Oh, okay. We want to do the Marlins as well.
Freddie Freeman was your guy for the Braves.
Was from the Braves, right. From the Marlins, I think I'm going Marcell Ozuna. It's tough. It's been some good production. Giancarlo Stanton getting votes. JT Riddle getting a lot of second-month votes. But I am going to go Marcell Ozuna. He's been very consistent. 13th home run today.
So the count 1-2. Cesar Hernandez at the top of the order on deck. Justin Nicolino fires on over to first. Miami winners last night and a 2-0 start here tonight. Leiter fights off a fastball, fouls it away. Jason wants to know, do the players wear new uniforms every night or are they reused?
That'd be nice. Should answer your question right there. No, they're not new every night.
Strike 3 called, but they smell like new.
No, they don't.
Oh, come on.
Not even close.
Toyota brings you an inside look. Starting pitchers last 4 games. Look, if the Marlins are going to turn this around, and they've obviously got to get better starting pitching, better relief pitching, better offense, and the starting pitching has come around.
I look at that walks. It's been such a topic of conversation this month of May with this Marlins staff, both in the bullpen and in the rotation, and sometimes creating trouble for themselves with those walks. Much, much better. Attacking the strike zone, working back into counts, and it's been a collective effort. It was almost, I use the word sometimes and you see it, it's almost like it's a virus, and everybody seems to catch it. Guys who don't traditionally walk guys, all of a sudden, they're walking guys.
Hernandez flied to right back in the first. Second time through against Nicolino. Time called.
Great effort for Nicolino that first time through the lineup. 7 ground ball outs. Outstanding. 38 total pitches. It's exactly what he's looking for.
Line drive. Ozuna there, and he makes the catch. That's the best ball the Phillies have hit tonight. And Justin Nicolino, 3 no-hit innings.
Twitter and email Tuesday. Tonight we're driving the conversation with that hashtag NL East. There are a lot of talented players in this division. Todd Hollandsworth just talked about a few of them. Now we want to know, at this point of the year, who would you consider the NL East MVP? Here are a couple of guys to consider. Ryan Zimmerman and Bryce Harper, who have driven so much of the Nationals' success. How about a guy like Michael Conforto for the Mets, who has caught fire in the month of May? Giancarlo Stanton with those 13 home runs and 35 RBIs. And Ender Inciarte, who has really been driving the Braves while Freddie Freeman has been the disabled list. Send those tweets to @FoxMarlins. Your emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com. Guys.
All right, thank you, Jess. Marlins here with D. Gordon, Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich, and if anybody reaches, Marcell Ozuna. An Ozuna home run to left, Justin Bour double, and an error on Cesar Hernandez. That's how Miami got their 2 runs in the second.
See how much the game plan changes for this Marlins lineup.
Up the third baseline, Kelly's got no shot. D. Gordon is aboard.
Now let's see the wheels of D. Gordon right there. Nice job by Kelly picking it up on the bare hand. Never, not always the easiest thing to do. Clearly has no play as D gets out of the box. Obviously one of the fastest down the line. Leadoff single for the Marlins here in the third.
Now Stanton. One of the things that slaps you right in the face with Stanton in the 2 spot is how quickly he's up there. You're just not used to at the top of the order. Gordon gets on and bam, there's Stanton. You're so used to seeing him at the very least 3rd, usually 4th.
I think the fun part about it for me is that when you look at Giancarlo Stanton and what he is, what he means to the Marlins, even look around the game of baseball, everybody says he's this incredible slugger who hits the ball farther than everybody else, and they expect that. And what we've seen from him over the last week is this smart, understanding the situation, great approach type of hitter.
To right and deep and gone. Stanton opposite field, 2-run shot.
Thank you, Giancarlo. Appreciate that. We get done talking about your great offensive approach, and you respond with an opposite field home run. Well, here it is, a fastball out over the plate, down the middle. This is all about approach. We've seen Giancarlo pull this pitch before. We've seen him go up there looking to pull this pitch before, but not now, not the new improved Giancarlo Stanton. Why homer and power to all fields? And when you're in the 2-hole lineup and you've got that hole open on the right side, you can think the other way. Great swing right there. Nice home run.
Like I said last night, he seems more hitter than slugger lately. And even though that's a home run, to me, that's a hitter's home run. That's staying on it. You always talk about the eyes on the barrel of the bat.
They don't lie. I mean, that tells you what he was thinking right there. You watch the eye line down through the body, down through the arms, down through the swing, and it tells you exactly what he's thinking.
Yelich lifts one towards the corner and into the seats.
Yeah, let's see it one more time. Watch his eyes. As soon as you can pick him up, see where his eyes are and watch how he tracks. Let's get that going there. We need a little bit higher, but can we see it? He's obviously watching the flight of the ball, but that swing right there, you can see his eye line down through his arms, through the barrel, and watching the ball come off the bat.
Ball outside.
107 miles an hour. There we go. It's a better view, a little wider angle. Look at the eyes. See how the head stays on it and tracks it. That's deliberate. That's not a mistake. That's on purpose. That's thinking that way. 388 feet, 107 miles an hour. That could very well have been a line drive base hit to right. That is his power taking over. Great to see.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Always found, Rich, a few times throughout my career, and I did this a lot earlier in my career hitting the 2 spot in the lineup, you get to think the game a lot more. You get to kind of game plan your at-bats.
Yelich, it's fair, and it's extra bases. Double number 7 for Yelich. And Miami having a good night offensively tonight.
Yeah, those doubles continuing to come for Christian Yelich. 3 of them a couple nights ago. Fastball on the outside corner, 92 miles an hour. Just barrels it up, hits it where it's pitched. Drives down the left field line. Sweet swing from Christian Yelich. Just to finish that thought, you're talking about Giancarlo Stanton looking more like a hitter. In that 2 spot in the lineup, you can have creative thought. He's got a speedster in D. Gordon, who's hot right now as well. Got a 10-game hitting streak, excuse me, 9-game hitting streak now. On base fairly consistently, able to game plan. He's got a hole open to the right side. You can go up there and enact what he's thinking he's going to see or what he's trying to do. And right there in that situation with D. Gordon on base, Leiter 2 fastballs away. Well, he looked away on the second one, got one he could handle, and drove it out of the yard.
So Leiter right now trying to get it together. Stanton with a 2-run homer. The Yelich double. Marcell Ozuna now, who homered to left, but that was against Vince Velasquez. If you're just joining us, Mark Leiter Jr. came in after Vince Velasquez left with an apparent injury in the middle of that 2nd inning. And fastball is up to Ozuna. Miami's hits tonight, the 2 homers, and now 2 doubles. Bohr had a double. Yelich obviously this inning. And the D. Gordon single. Ozuna takes in, and it is 2-0.
And the 2 homers and the 2 doubles rockets off the bats tonight. This Marlins lineup looks locked in collectively.
Ozuna hits it hard into left field. Yelich had to wait for it to clear the infield. And so Ozuna is 2 for 2. And here comes big Justin Bohr. Who doesn't love burgers and beer, right? I mean, we're in Friday night. You can join us. It's June 2nd, 6:30 for burgers and beer. Diamondbacks and Marlins get a burger, craft beer, a game ticket, and it starts at $30. For tickets, go to marlins.com/burger. Justin Bohr now. All right, a tweet from the Finstones. Any chance they'll get to see Justin Bohr in the home run derby?
Keeps this up, there is. Absolutely.
You got 3 Marlins to choose from. Stanton, Ozuna, and Bohr. Stanton's got 14. Bohr has 13. And now Ozuna with his homer tonight, he's got 13.
Tell you what, you know, both Marcell Ozuna and Giancarlo Stanton have excellent launch angle on a lot of their home runs and a lot of the balls that they hit. You see them hit these towering balls. You know, Justin Bohr, I'll tell you what, he's got some of the hardest hit home runs I've seen. It's never about the trajectory, it's about the velocity off the bat. I mean, he squares up balls, fastballs. I mean, that double he hit back in the 1st inning, my goodness gracious, it was about 10 feet off the ground, off the base of the wall and right. It was harder than Stanton's home run.
Because he's left-handed, because he's big, and because he has the exit velocity that you talked about, He reminds me of a player that used to hit balls just like this. And I saw this player in the minor leagues early, and I saw him in the major leagues. And that was American League Rookie of the Year, Bob Hamlin of the Kansas City Royals.
Bob Hamlin, right? Yeah.
The Hammer. He absolutely, just like Bohr,
punished baseballs.
Crushed balls from this side of the plate. 2-2. And Leiter misses out and up. Well, the Phillies probably right now are thinking about who's next behind Leiter, because Velasquez went just an inning and a third. Leiter has been out there already for 34 pitches.
This Marlins lineup is not backing down. Not watching them become more aggressive. They actually have become more selective against Leiter as he's kind of worked around the zone, and they've thrown some rockets out against him.
Joely Rodriguez. Marlins saw him last night. He's up in the pen. Apparently, he's next. Bohr takes the walk. Nicely done. Good at bats all around. Leiter hasn't retired a hitter here in the third.
That's the one thing that really stood out to me. Justin Bohr, go back to April when the hits weren't falling, when he wasn't finding the barrel consistently. The approach, it didn't change. He was a very patient hitter even through the struggles, and most hitters typically become more aggressive. And I just really felt that as soon as he found his swing, you start to see the on-base percentage skyrocket, obviously the slugging percentage that comes along with the exit velocity there, and now is having himself a fantastic season here in 2017.
Rodriguez has quickened his pace in the Phillies pen. JT Realmuto, who flied out back in the second. Yelich, Ozuna, and Bohr. Realmuto up. And his fly ball was a well hit one into right center, just shy of the track. Fastball in. That one fouled back, almost up here.
I was ready.
You were.
I kicked the chair out and then I braced myself. I wait for the entry.
The only ball that's come up here ever, my partner caught in the air with nary a bobble. And it is now.
I still give you credit for all of that, for telling me how many balls I thought actually came up here.
Here's a 1-1. Realmuto fouls it back.
I sit on red alert literally all game long. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes.
See, here we are way up here. So balls don't get up here all that often.
Nope.
There was one over on the other side. Now you see the Fox Florida banner. The other side is where all of our talented camera folk stay. We are on the other side. There was a ball that came up with the cameras. I believe it was last year. Realmuto takes in, and it's 2-2. Well, look, this is a chance for the Marlins to really crack it open and give Justin Nicolino some breathing room. Not that he doesn't have some now, but 6 or 7 runs, a little more room than 4.
Now this offense has been unloading for the last week, really putting together, stringing together great at bats. Good to see them collectively doing this.
2-2.
All inside.
This is a great example of it. You watch it right here. The Bohr the walk. Realmuto down in the count, 2 strikes, not going fishing, not just putting the ball in play because he knows if he does and he pulls to the up the middle, he'll get an RBI or however you choose to look at it. These are good, disciplined at bats, fighting off some tough pitches and hitters putting themselves in position to get something they can handle.
Ball 4.
It's ball 4. Yelich will score. Realmuto walks. Leiter still hasn't retired a hitter here. He's walked 2 in a row, and I don't know that he's going to be in there much longer. And here comes Pete McCann, and he'll make the change. So the injury to Vince Velasquez. Leiter looked good in the second, but not here in the third. And Rodriguez, the lefty, is coming in. Nobody out in the bottom of the third. Time now for a Coors Cold Hard Facts. Last 20 meetings, Marlins Park, straight down the middle. Runs per games, home runs, ERA. Yeah, everything pretty much as you would expect for a 10-10 record for the Phillies and the Fish. Now, these two teams haven't played a lot yet this year. They had 2 games in Philly, shortened a 3-game series by rain to the 2 games. And then last night, the Marlins beat the Phils. If the Marlins win this ball game, this season series will be 2-2.
Well, the Marlins are playing much better baseball. Instead, I know we get hung up on, you know, wins and losses. The Phillies 17-32, the Marlins 19-30. But let's be honest, over the last week, the Marlins have played better baseball. This team is starting to look like what was expected.
Bags loaded. Rodriguez delivers. And Dietrich fouls it off.
In some ways, you want to use the word, and you think this way when you're starting to play the baseball that you believe you're supposed to be playing. I'm talking about the Marlins here, taking care of business. Remember, the Phillies struggling mightily coming in. Took care of business last night against Hellickson, who had their number. Good at bats tonight as well. Looking for more here in the bottom of the third.
Well, even with the series win over the Angels this weekend, Miami took 2 of 3. Going into last night, they had the worst home record in the National League. But of course, the Phillies showed up, sporting the worst road record.
Something had to give
in the National League. Giancarlo Stanton, a 2-run homer this inning. He's got 14 now. And Joely Rodriguez is 0-2 on Derek Dietrich. You got Riddle behind him. So Pete McCannon's hoping the lefty can slow things down with 2 lefty bats.
Fastball, slider. That's what you're going to see. There's the slider. You also throw that fastball. Remember from last night, little 2-seamer underneath the hands of the left-handed hitters.
Ozuna, Bohr, Real Muto. 3 runs here in the inning and a 1-2 to Derek Dietrich. And he got him. Little slide piece. And here comes Riddle.
Last night featured a lot of 2-seam fastballs into the lefties. Tonight, sliders away. The more traditional pitches, lefty-lefty matchups, hard for lefties to defend that pitch. Sweeps across the plate. Pretty good slider right there by Rodriguez.
Now Riddle who struck out in the second. Chopper, right field, base hit. Ozuna scores. Bohr will hold. And Miami has their 6th run, and it's Riddle who just continues to swing it. A 5-game hit streak for Riddle. And the youngster out of Frankfort, Kentucky.
Well done. Just looks to be aggressive on this first pitch. It's a slider working itself away. You see it off the end of the bat, rolls over just a little bit, but sometimes that's good enough to squeak it through the right side. Watch how perfectly placed this is between your first baseman and second baseman. Things are going good. Get that right there. Nice piece of hitting.
Bag still loaded, and now it's Nicolino. He will bunt, and that's an out there. And a throw down the line into the corner. Real Muto scores. Riddle to third. My goodness. The Phillies had a double play if Rupp makes that throw to first base. Nicolino ends up out at second. Riddle stopped at third. It's 7-0, and that's Nicolino looking at his left hand, and that's not good.
Yeah, that's not a good look on his face. I don't know what's going on. He's wandering out into center field right now.
Yeah, and here's a look. You'd think maybe the ball hit it when he tried to bunt, because I don't think he slid at second at all. So I think,
yeah, he very well may have. To see it again, I couldn't see it from our original angle. See him just hustling through. Sometimes a guy will wrap his finger around the bat and the ball will hit the finger.
Oh man, if that's just what rotten luck that is. It's his pitching hand. Dustin Luker, Marlins trainer.
Check it again here.
Hard to see it on that. Here we go.
Yeah, that index finger. I think his index finger got hit right there. It doesn't give you much of a facial expression, but you see his immediate reaction out there at second base. Could very well have been right on the tip of the finger.
Now, they may well, the Marlins will probably let him run here, but you can see the tip of that finger is black and blue right now, and we'll see what happens down in the Marlins bullpen if they get somebody up. What rotten luck. Nicolino pitching so well. Marlins have scored him 7 runs. Gordon is up. The throwing error is on Rupp. It's another lefty on lefty matchup with Gordon against Rodriguez.
It's the 3rd at bat tonight for D. Gordon. Third pitcher he's seen.
Yeah, that's not a good sign for the opponent when the leadoff guy sees 3 different guys. Now, the circumstances behind Vince Velasquez, he left, and we haven't heard a report yet on him, but he was kind of favoring and holding that lower back left side. Mark Leiter pitched well in the second and then is knocked around here in the third, and Rodriguez is in trying to put out that fire. And there is bullpen action for Miami. 2-1. D takes out. Now the likelihood that Gordon's going to see a pretty good pitch here is pretty high, because I don't think Rodriguez wants anything to do with Stanton and the bases loaded.
Yeah, no, and there's nothing behind him in the bullpen, if that's what you're thinking. He is going to take on Stanton with the bases loaded.
And D got a good pitch to hit.
If he does not get after D right here, that is a fact. And Giancarlo Stanton has been an absolute beast against lefties this year.
Stanton homered earlier this inning. Gordon started it with the infield hit. D stays alive, and it stays at 3-2. 5 runs here in the 3rd. Gordon, a ground ball. Nice stop. Hernandez on his knee throws him out. Inning over, but a big one for the Marlins. 5 runs. The concern, though, for Justin Nicolino and that left index finger. Big G goes out. Opposite field, 14th. And Miami having a nice night, 7-0. Arrived, and while you look at the line score and you say everything's great for the Marlins, it's not. Justin Nicolino, their left-handed starter, bunting, caught his left, what looked like index finger in between the bat and the ball. When he took the batting glove off, you could see it was swollen, and he doesn't even come out and try to attempt to warm up. Dustin McGowan comes out of Miami's bullpen. He started his process, McGowan did, in the pen about probably 4 or 5 minutes ago, so this won't take that much longer. McGowan will come into this ball game in the 4th, and he'll get the 2, 3, 4 hitters in the Marlins lineup. So while McGowan warms up, we can show you what happened if you haven't seen the actual pitch with Nicolino trying to bunt. Todd Hollinsworth has a bat.
I'm going to do my best to give you a little look-see. Now, listen, when you're taught how to bunt, and I'm not going to say that I was always the best informed, but the one thing that you're warned about doing is getting these fingers around the barrel. See my fingers right there? When you get down in that position and you want to bunt, the first inclination is to grab it higher up and you slide the hand down. But here's the thing, you run the risk if you move your hands into the line of fire where the pitch is, particularly down in the zone, that this finger, these 2 fingers here, can be in the way, as we saw with just Nicolino. So what you're taught to do is kind of get after it like this. You almost want to let these fingers hang off the bat and they're protected on the other side, but to get that index finger really tucked behind the barrel so that when you're bunting, you're almost steering with the other hand. Let's see if I can get it in there. This hand right here does a little bit more of the steering. This does a little bit more of the catching, but you're able to keep those fingers out of the way. For Justin Nicolino, tough tonight to see him come out of this ball game with that injury.
Thought you were going to bunt me there.
Sorry, I get excited when I get a bat in my hand, you know.
Right, here's a look.
See how that finger, it's just in a very, very dangerous spot for Justin. You see it right there. He literally basically bunts the ball off his finger, not even the bat.
Well, what rotten luck for Nicolino, who had good stuff and shut down the Phillies and not giving up a hit in 3 innings. And so McGowan takes over. Kendrick, ALTHERR, and Joseph. And McGowan with a fastball that's fouled back and out of play. Well, Dustin McGowan had such a really nice bounce back year last year with all the health issues. Remember, he was a Philly in that bullpen in 2015. Center field pretty well hit. Yelich going back. Yelich looking up. That ball is gone. Howie Kendrick leaves straight away center field. And the Phillies have a run back with a leadoff homer here in the 4th.
Kendrick's going to get a slider. You see it out of the hand, around the fingers right there as he gets around that baseball, works its way down in the zone. Still above the knees right there. Howie Kendrick sitting on it, driving it back from where it came. Phillies pick up their first run of the ballgame.
Aaron ALTHERR now with Tommy Joseph and Cameron Rupp also coming up. Emails and tweets tonight. We got a tweet from Lucas, who's watching in Dortmund, Germany. Hello to America. Hello to the Marlins. Watch Major League Baseball every night. Dortmund, Germany, where it's, I'm trying to add it up, I think it's 2:32 right now in the morning. That ball hit hard into left field. And so Aaron ALTHERR has a hit. Jeff Conine returns. South Florida Honda dealers present Marlins Live. He'll have to go a ways to match the other Jeff, who's done a fine job. Jeff Nelson, who was in the booth but moments ago has been summoned to the bullpen. Diamondbacks and Marlins. That's a Jeff Locke, Zach Greinke matchup, which carries some intrigue for a lot of reasons. Number one, what will Locke look like coming off of his rehab? Number two, I'm sure Zach Greinke will be throwing to Jeff Mathis. That's been a great combination this year. Mathis, the former Marlin, and Greinke have been very good this year.
Greinke's back
with some help from an old friend. Up the middle, big hop off the mound. Gordon gathers and turns the double play. Phillies have barreled up 3 balls. McGowan gets 2 outs.
Sometimes catching a break is a good thing right here. You see where D. Gordon is placed. Joseph, hard ground ball back up the middle. Easy double play. It's kind of what you want. For McGowan, probably shaking off a little rust. It's been a while since he's been back out there, all the way back to the 19th of May. Certainly happy to be in the ballgame and getting some work tonight. Get out of the middle of the plate right now.
Good luck to the Bishop Moore Catholic High School baseball team in the state semifinals tomorrow. They sent us a cool photo of them on the bus watching Justin Nicolino in their start. So all the teams that are involved in the state tournament, good luck to you. Good luck to Bishop Moore Catholic High School. McGowan strikes him out. Giancarlo's coming up, 7-1 Fish. brought to you by Jeep. Get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance events. By your South Florida Chevy dealers. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Odd night here in Miami. The Marlins have busted out for 7 runs, but they've lost their starter, Justin Nicolino, to a finger injury. And Rodriguez does get to face Giancarlo Stanton as the bottom of the 4th breaks out here in Miami. Stanton struck out in the 1st. That was against Vince Velasquez. 2-run homer in the 3rd. That was against Mark Leiter Jr. And now 3rd at bat, 3rd different pitcher. Stanton fouls one back and out of play. Some good emails, some good tweets tonight. Alex wants to know why there's no such thing as Twitter Thursday. Once a week. He also would love more of the booth camera. He thinks that we have a fine, cool hideaway up here with all kinds of gizmos and toys.
There's a protest going on right now.
Here's a 2-1.
Just kidding.
That one fouled at the plate.
We are trying to incorporate more. He's talking about the Fox Den, right? The demo den? Is that what he's asking for?
I think
more booth shots?
He was talking about the booth.
Oh, yeah. We could do more booth shots.
But the Fox, the den is pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for you to hit a ball off the tee right at the camera.
I don't think our bosses would appreciate that.
Stanton swings and misses. Giancarlo strikes out. Here comes Yelich. Did a good job of hiding that slider, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He really did. Well, he sweeps it. He closes off and he hides the ball very, very well. Again, tough on lefties. You see it right there against the righties. When he gets that slider down, it can be effective.
Yelich now is doubled and flied out.
Rodriguez has a very interesting combination going. You see that 2-seam fastball, that's it right there. It runs to that corner, and his slider, when it's effective and down, runs obviously to the other corner. So he's got 2 pitches that kind of work away from the zone. Look at that right there. Back-to-back 2-seam fastballs. Lots of action on them.
Kyle wants to know, Stanton was just at the plate. He's the #2 hitter in the lineup, and he's thrived in that spot over the last week or so. Are there any other power hitters hitting second in lineups across baseball?
Well, there are. I mean, as everybody knows, I've come here from Chicago. I see it all the time. Joe Madden likes to put Rizzo, likes to put Bryant in that 2-spot in the lineup, depending on what's going on, and routinely does it. So, yeah, I've seen it. I don't know if it's as maybe as popular or as cool as it was maybe a couple years ago to see what was going on, because I think it was kind of almost like the new flavor of the day to see that new lineup. And even the argument, well, you're going to get more at bats, and you play that out over the course of the season, and people were really just kind of getting into that whole, I'll call it a little bit of a sabermetric look to the batting arrangement that managers were coming up with. It's interesting because it's kind of gravitating back to old school style here of late.
Evelyn with a good point. We were talking about why Posey didn't go out and prevent Harper from going after Hunter Strickland. She points out he came off the DL 5 weeks ago after getting a concussion.
Yeah, that's a good one. But at the same time, I certainly understand it.
3-2, Yelich trying to beat this out. That's close. It's bang, bang. But he is called out.
I've also seen Buster jump out from behind home plate and stop it, so I guess that would be my argument there. But a very valid point. I agree. I mean, again, exchange right there for the Phillies. Clearly beats Yelich. Half a step.
Again, if this were a political campaign, I would have a little placard that says, "I'm with Buster."
Hey, man, listen, I'm with you as well. I'm not arguing the point. I mean, again, what was his role in that all to begin with? Anybody that has an issue with that, you're defending. I'm not even sure what you're defending. You're defending the idea that there's a written rule that if you know, your teammate wants to do something and you've got to defend it blindly.
Programming note, Janine points out, now, no television for us tomorrow. Fox Sports Florida will not televise the game, but MLB Network will carry the Phillies telecast. So if you want to watch the Phillies telecast, you don't have the MLB package, and you do have MLB Network, you should be able to see the game there. Alex has a good question. Why doesn't Rich ever get to go in the Fox Den?
You can go to the Fox Den whenever you want. It's your answer. I've seen you come up to the Fox Den a few times. In fact, you were trying to distract me the one time.
All right, there's a report on Justin Nicolino, left index finger contusion. And right now, day to day. Armando wants to know any news on Philo Ramirez. And the last we heard, Philo is still in the rehab hospital up in the Philadelphia area. There are good days and every now and then a setback, but we're hopeful that soon he's able to come home and be back here in Miami. Ozuna's finding a lot of hits up the middle lately on the ground, and he's 3 for 3 in this ball game with a homer and 2 singles. He's got his average up over 300 and it's climbing.
Why not? That's continuing. It continues to be the approach. That's exactly what it comes down to, using the middle of the field. Remember, this is with 2 strikes. Shortens up, stays through the middle of the field, goes the other way. Remember, on this homestand, has a home run to right field. Yes, the one tonight, always fun to see. Gets a fastball in, turns on it, light tower power. But these at bats for Ozuna are going to make him a 300 hitter if he continues to keep this approach.
Here's Bohr now. Takes a fastball for a strike.
Got a report in on Velasquez, right elbow flexor strain.
Really? Elbow, huh? Because he was holding that lower back. But it may have been him just trying to stretch the arm out. Well, that's for the Phillies. Let's hope that it's a strain and he's able to get back up on the mound soon.
One thing I will say is the velocity looked a little bit down. I thought it was odd. You know, a lot of times you'll see guys come out of the bullpen and maybe they warm to their start. His velocity in the first inning, 91, 92. He might have touched 93. See it right there. Right elbow flexor strain. Clearly dealing with a little bit of something.
Bohr chasing a fastball that ran in on him. Bohr into center field. Well struck. And he's 2 for 2 with a walk. A double, a single. The walk was in the 3rd inning. That gets Real Muto to the plate.
I tell you, this Marlins team, that's one thing they've proven this year, is that they do not back off. Even in a game in which they've scored a bunch of runs, they just keep putting together better and better at bats. Good extension right there. This is a slider away. Stays on it, drives right back through the middle.
And that's it for the lefty. Phillies are going to dip into their bullpen, and it looks like make a double switch all at once. stars in the world descend upon Erin Hills for one of golf's most anticipated events of the year. Dustin Johnson looks to defend his title. You got Jason Day, Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy, all primed to tame golf's ultimate test and be crowned America's champion. The 117th playing of the U.S. Open begins June 15th on Fox FS1, and it streams live on Fox Sports Go. Brock Stassi is at first base in this double switch, and Luis Garcia is the pitcher. And he faces JT Realmuto with 2 outs and 2 on. And this ball game is only in the bottom of the 4th. The Phillies lost their pitcher, Vince Velasquez, with a strain of the elbow flexor. The Marlins lost their starting pitcher with a contusion of the left index finger. Justin Nicolino, the lefty, hurt it trying to bunt. And so both managers are, I'm sure, scrambling, trying to figure out who gets what innings. Neither manager wants to compromise their bullpen for tomorrow, which is an afternoon game. Marlins don't have an off day for a while. Realmuto swings and misses.
Slider by Garcia right there. It's what you're going to see from Garcia. I have a feeling he might be in here for a little while since they obviously double switched right there. Big arm, 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Good slider. Also throws a split finger to go with it. He's had good numbers. This Phillies bullpen has been good this year, certainly of late.
I like that. You could hear Doug Eddings say first no, 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 and then after he was asked for an appeal, all he does is shout Corey, which is Corey Blazer at first base. See what he gets. 2-2. Breaking ball to left. Kendrick is in, and he makes the catch. Marlins get a couple hits, but leave those runners. 4 eventful innings and a 7-1 Miami lead. Fifth inning rolls around here at Marlins Park. Geico presents this day in Major League history. It's 1982. Cal Ripken Jr. played the first of 2,632 consecutive games. .2632. So that was today. Also today, the Marlins have a 7-1 lead against the Phillies. McGowan into his second inning of relief. Michael Saunders is the hitter. Saunders. You got Ty Kelly and then Freddie Galvis. Stassi is in the 9 spot. And the pitcher spot takes over the cleanup position, which used to be Tommy Joseph. Justin Bour to the bag. McGowan has the first out. Saunders retired. Emails and tweets tonight, kids. Some good reaction from fans getting a chance to see the team bus of Bishop Moore Catholic High School on Twitter. I think we still have the photo. We might be able to get that up on the screen. There they are.
There it is.
Semifinal tomorrow.
Good luck.
Ty Kelly in the air. Christian Yelich has it. And McGowan has settled in here after giving up a home run back in the 4th to Howie Kendrick.
Well, that's a lot of times the case. The reliever goes a long period of time without appearances.
Hugh wants to know, any chance Henderson Alvarez is healthy? And will he be given another chance in the Marlins organization? Craig interviewed him I guess it was about a week ago. Henderson Alvarez, former Marlin, or 2 weeks ago. I think it was before we went out west. I've kind of blocked that whole homestand out of my memory.
What didn't go well for in any way?
No. Miami was
1-8.
1-8.
Yeah.
So I have no idea who the Marlins played or what happened.
It didn't happen. Hey, listen, that's a gift of a ball player right there.
I do remember Henderson Alvarez.
Do you remember that time you were 0 for 21? Nope.
No.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Galvis lines it foul. Yeah, look, I think once he's healthy and once he starts to throw, he lives in the area, so certainly Miami would look at him, but I think every major league organization would look at him. Marlins really like Henderson Alvarez, and with good reason. He was a very good Marlin, pitched well for him. Obviously the arm issues and the injuries have been tough for him to get through, and tough for fans of him they want to see him back out. He was known when he pitched with Miami, his nickname was the Entertainer. He had some really fun stuff that he did on the mound. Galvis turns and blisters one.
Hot to the touch.
Two balls, 2 strikes. And down he goes. Phillies are done in the 5th, 7-1. Marlins on top.
Marlins lead it 7-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Hey, there are a ton of players that you can follow on Twitter, including Miguel Rojas, who just posted this video a few days ago of him and his son, Aaron. He sent it out along with the caption, "When you're on the DL and can't wait to play again, no other option than to take your son deep while rehabbing." Guys, not only did he take his 18-month-old son deep, wait for it, he threw in the bat flip. What do you guys think about that? Is a bat flip okay on an 18-month-old?
I think you better be careful. About 3 or 4 years from now, he may channel his inner Hunter Strickland and throw at him.
Yeah. And Buster ain't gonna follow.
That's right.
Follow him out.
Miguel's not gonna get any help from Mama. That's right.
7-1, Marlins on top. Eric Dietrich, a fly ball out, and that opens up bottom of the 5th. AARP presents Getting to Know JT Riddle. Joshua Travis, Kentucky Wildcat. Brian Schneider. Yeah, that was the scouting report we read. Brian Schneider was the manager in Jupiter. And one of the things that Schneider said about Riddle was you don't have to worry about JT Riddle. The way he plays the game, the way he prepares, he's one of those players you just ride him in the lineup. This was in the Florida State League a couple of years ago. And he just goes out and plays well. So it's got to be pretty cool for Riddle to get here and find that his single-A manager is here as well. Brian Schneider on the Marlins bench and on Miami's staff. Go 2.
That split finger fastball. It was. I've talked about his smile. He's told me it's his focus, and it's just kind of his game face, the way he goes about it. He's cool as cucumber. I mean, it's just everything that he goes about his business is smooth.
Fastball away. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Stassi to the bag with the out. And here comes McGowan. Jim has an email. Jim, loyal viewer. Justin Bour has had such a good start. He wants to know, is there any way to compare the swings of Justin Bour and Babe Ruth? The Wizards and the Truck can do that side by side for his next at bat. And the question that follows, if Bour had a candy bar named after him, what would the ingredients be? Please ask it. We aim to please, so we can't get you that tonight. I mean, well, Craig can't run out to first base and ask, so we'll try to get it Thursday or Friday.
I bet if you dared Craig, you would.
Right, but you're going to have to pay his salary for like 7 or 10 years after
Maybe.
that.
True. I'm guessing nougat.
I would leave that to Justin Bour. I make no presumptions.
I just wanted to say nougat.
McGowan swings and misses, and Rupp throws him out. And the Marlins are down in order. Going to the 6th, it's 7-1. It's the 6th. Lots of emails, lots of tweets. Now, Jim wanted Justin Bour, Babe Ruth split screen, and some trucks might not be able to do it, but this is the world's most dangerous tape room with the Pete in control in there. There's Bour. And here's the Babe. Look at how Babe hit off that front leg.
That's pretty amazing. You see that back leg. Yeah, it doesn't even rotate. I mean, he rotates the hips around, but not the foot. Watch the back leg. See how it comes off the ground right there? Pretty amazing.
We'll get the candy bar info in a couple of days. Also, there have been some tweets and some emails as well on that foul ball that was hit. As you see Ichiro in right field, the foul ball that was hit into the seats in the 5th inning. It looked like there was a youngster that was struck, and we will try to get you a report. A lot of people want to know how the child is. If we get a report, we'll pass it along to you, and obviously our fingers are crossed that the youngster will be okay.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers with him and his family, certainly.
Brock Stassi is up. Cesar Hernandez and Howie Kendrick will follow. Stassi's first at bat. He came in the double switch. And McGowan gets a strike. Count is 1 ball and 1 strike.
McGowan has retired 5 straight since coming into the ball game. Well, I should say after the Kendrick home run and ALTHERR singling 5 straight. Shook off some of that rust and has gotten right back into gear.
And if McGowan's able to get this inning in and maybe go another inning, that'll be an enormous boost for the ball club. Because the Marlins and the Phillies play tomorrow afternoon. It's a 1 o'clock start. Remember, we're not televising. You can probably see that game on MLB Network locally here. But there's no off day. I mean, the Diamondbacks come in on Thursday for a 4-game set. Don Mattingly's probably got a couple of relievers he wants to stay away from tonight as well.
Well, he's got a very favorable score. Obviously hoping to keep that in play, but that's exactly right. Well, I got a couple of relievers down there that have been logging a lot of innings.
Stassi hits it in the air, and Yelich is there and makes the catch. Really cool giveaway coming up on Saturday. And it's a Giancarlo Stanton bobblehead, but look at, it's the All-Star Home Run Derby Giancarlo Stanton bobblehead. For 7,500 fans, will get one, and it's courtesy of Fox Sports Florida. Marlins.com for tickets. Top of the order, Cesar Hernandez. See, now fans are getting a little silly. Paul wants Pete and the world's most dangerous tape room to do Babe Ruth and Ichiro side by side. We're not taking requests.
You have to have at least similar body type.
Yeah. I don't think you could put Ichiro swing side by side with anybody.
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
It's going to be so different. There really isn't. It's just so unique. By most standards, Ichiro does about 4 or 5 things that you would never teach a hitter. But here's a look. All right, you saw Bour and you saw the Babe. Ichiro, like the Babe, does move that back foot, but his whole body comes forward.
That's where it stops. That's exactly where it stops. Babe Ruth, that barrel in bat size, in and up through the zone. Ichiro down.
McGowan, that one off of Bour's glove. Gordon backs it up. Nicely done by both Bour and Ichiro, who were there. It's going to be a base hit. McGowan made a nice try there. And Howie Kendricks got his second hit of the night.
Good effort by everybody. Gowan trying to bounce off the mound and make a spectacular play. Throw up the line. Bohr does everything in his power to keep it on the infield. D. Gordon in position and Ichiro in position. Good to see. The 7-1 ball game. And after the ricochet.
Huh. They're going to give McGowan an error, really? That's a tough error. Especially since the runner didn't advance, but oh well. It's 7-1. Aaron ALTHERR.
That's kind of why I thought it would be a hit.
Well, I wrote hit. I didn't even think.
I kind of assumed it myself.
That's why you have liquid paper.
Right.
It's a little correction tape. Tristan, how many retweets for y'all to fly me in from Tallahassee and get 3 home plate tickets for the home run derby? We can't even get home plate tickets for the home run derby.
I'm trying to think how I could humorously answer that question so that I can incorporate you and your home plate derby tickets into the giveaway that he's asking for.
Well, I don't have any.
Well, and I kind of figured that, but
ALTHERR, the 2-2. It's down low. McGowan here, 36 pitches in. This is his 3rd inning in relief. Justin Nicolino went 3 left with a contusion on his finger, trying to bunt in the bottom of the 3rd. High fly ball that Yelich has lined up. He squeezes it for the 3rd out on the top of the 6th. Bottom 6, 7-1. On top of the Phillies, bottom 6, the parade out of the Phillies bullpen continues. Andres Blanco, please welcome him to the show. Pete Buchanan's 2nd double switch of the night. And Edubre Ramos comes in and takes over from Luis Garcia.
Big arm for Ramos. Pitching very well of late. Only a couple of earned runs over his last 12 innings pitched. 1.50 ERA. See the numbers: 24 punch-outs, 20 1/3 innings. Has given up 3 home runs.
So Cesar Hernandez is out of the game. Pitcher is now hitting in the leadoff spot for the Phillies. Blanco is hitting 4th, and remember, Stasi is in the 9th spot. D. Gordon's taking a couple of strikes.
D. Gordon extended his hitting streak to 9 games with a single back in the 3rd inning.
Just gets a piece of that. Ichiro is slated for an at-bat here in the 6th. He came in for Stanton defensively in the top of this, the 6th inning. D. Gordon, and safe at first. And so Gordon has himself a hit. Just kind of
Wills, right? Well, it's kind of like his last hit down to 3rd base. Just gets the bat on the ball and a pitch away, working down in the zone, and he's able to turn on the Jets.
Like a check swing, not necessarily a bunt, but like a half swing with 2 strikes. So a couple of infield hits. Gordon's aboard, and here's Ichiro.
Batting average steadily climbing. Picked up a hit last night. 2 for his last 2.
Yeah, and an enormous hit on Sunday in the comeback win over the Angels. Outside corner. And a swing and a miss. Ichiro strikes out. And here comes Christian Yelich.
Some tumbling action into the zone. Fell out. Sure, trying to protect right there. Bring up Christian Yelich. As well had a double in that 3rd inning. It's been an impressive effort for the Marlins tonight. 10 hits in the ball game. 6 of those hits have been off the bat at 101 miles an hour or more. We love talking exit velocity, especially with this outfield, this lineup, the way it's rolling right now. And 6 of them tonight, with a high of 107 on the Stanton home run.
Two and 0 to Yelich. Double in 3 trips. A 7-1 Miami lead. Yelich bangs it up the middle. Out there. Galvis's turn. Out there. And the Phillies turn a double play. Miami done in the 6th. On to the 7th with a fish up 6. home runs tonight for Giancarlo Stanton and Marcell Ozuna. Hey, it's a play ball weekend, and it continues on Sunday. Marlins and Diamondbacks. The Aquafina family 4-pack starts at $84, and the first 5,000 kids will get a play ball bat set, bring old or unused baseball equipment to donate in the equipment drive and receive an autographed player card. Tickets, go to marlins.com/Aquafina. Brian Ellington takes over for Dustin McGowan. 3 enormous innings for McGowan, trying to bridge the gap from the Nicolino injury. If you weren't with us, he suffered a contusion on his left index finger trying to bunt in the 3rd inning. So Nicolino gave him 3 hitless innings. McGowan goes 3 innings, gives up just the 1 run. And here's Ellington trying to get this game further along without having to expend any more bullpen capital. That didn't feel good to the home plate umpire, Doug Eddings. Real Muto checking to see if he's all right.
Looks like all is well. Just the big fastball from Ellington right there. Great start to this 2017 season for him.
First at bat for Andres Blanco. And Blanco takes outside. Blanco has always been a great utility man. He can play in a lot of places. Pete Buchanan a couple years ago said he's the best utility man in baseball he's ever seen in terms of defensive abilities and some offensive acumen. You would think if he continued what he started, people might be saying that about Miguel Rojas. Continue what he started offensively this year. Oh goodness. Oh, that bat flew right over the dugout and into the crowd, and I think everybody's okay. It's one of the things baseball is moving towards, and in my opinion, they can't move faster towards it, and those are the nets that are extended from the screen on down to the end of the dugout. It's we got a look at that in Japan in 13 and 17 in the World Baseball Classic. And I think sooner, and let's hope sooner, that I think every park will be there.
Yeah.
There's a swing and a foul tip. Blanco goes down on strikes.
99-mile-an-hour fastball by Ellington. Wow, absolutely just bringing it right now.
I love the pitch speeds.
Yeah, watch this. Here's the best one. Dialed it up. Even took it to another level, as you see right there.
It's like vapor trail after vapor trail. Now that's when a vapor trail is really appropriate, when it's 97, 98, 99.
Fun to watch. It seems right. I would also add this, Rich. You talked about getting the nets up over the dugouts. I still to this day do not understand how we're not protecting on-deck hitters more than the game is. These guys are so close to the action. I mean, what is it? I don't know, 20, 30 a year we see nearly miss the on-deck hitter off the bat. He's only 15, 20 feet away. I feel like there's got to be a way to. Where Saunders is standing, he's throwing 98 miles an hour. If he checks his swing just a little bit in the strike zone and redirects it towards the on-deck hitter.
Well, I think there's a lot of people in the game that would agree with that, and of course a former Marlin, a teammate of yours, Juan Encarnacion, had his career ended with a ball that hit him in the eye. Logan Morrison had the same thing happen to him, and thankfully it didn't get him in the eye. It got him right under the eye at a ball game at the football stadium. That is strike 3. Ellington really throwing well, 98 miles an hour. He strikes out Cameron Rupp. And so 2 outs. Yeah, that's right, 98.
Fun to watch Ellington operate. Slider really starting to come around, but who doesn't love to see high 90s fastballs?
Saunders now.
Hey!
It's not easy to stand up there and catch up to 98 or 99.
It is not.
Ball and a strike. So it's one thing to try to hit it at 99 miles an hour for Cameron Rupp. Watch this. Look for the bug to come into the shot. Oh, is it dirt off the cleat? It was dirt off the cleat. That's dirt off of Ellington's cleat that's flying up out there towards the plate.
Good visual, nice camera work.
I thought it was a bug, but second viewing,
I don't think that bug wanted to cross the path of that.
No, that would be a Randy Johnson moment. Here's
Yes,
a 1-2 and a swing and a miss, and Ellington is coming in blowing gas. Strikes out the side. That's a quick 7th inning. Saunders frustrated. And Miami's lead is still 7-1. Now the All-Star game on Fox on July 11th, and the balloting came out in the National League. The first pass and see who's leading. Your outfield, Bryce Harper, Charlie Blackmon, Jason Hayward. Now the Cubs, obviously, with the great year they had and the huge fan base, are pretty well represented.
They are.
I don't know that Hayward's going to hang on to that lead. I think it may be a teammate that catches him. Anthony Rizzo at first. Daniel Murphy certainly deserving it at second. Corey Seager at short. Chris Bryant at third. And Buster Posey behind the plate. Bryce Harper, by the way, look at the vote total for Harper. Over 900,000 already. Marcell Ozuna skies one behind the plate. Rupp has to make a basket catch in front of his bench. And Ozuna is retired. Look at Rupp looking up. That was just about as high as you get without
hitting a rafter.
Hitting a girder up there.
For all of you who want to know, and I know a lot of Marlins fans want to know, got to get the boats going, because certainly Marcell Ozuna's had a fantastic first half, as has Giancarlo Stanton. They currently sit in 7th and 8th place. in the National League. So we got to get that going there. Those numbers moving in the right direction.
Here's Bohr now, who's doubled, walked, and singled. Hey! Now remember, all-star team, fan balloting starters, player votes for reserves and for some pitchers, and then the rest of the roster spots are filled in by the leagues themselves. The manager of the American or National League All-Star team gets help from the league in filling out the roster after that. So if there's a transgression and a guy like Bohr doesn't show up on the radar, if he continues to swing it the way he's hitting it, he's got a shot if the players think that he's worthy of it. And say that the players vote an Anthony Rizzo in. If that's the case, if the players and the fans match, then the player who is second on the players' ballot gets that spot. Bohr sitting on a 2-2. He's having a nice night tonight. 7 doubles now to go with his 13 homers. That's going to float out of play. This is a burning question. I can't believe I haven't seen it sooner. It's on the email sites. James, who wants to know, will Todd Hollandsworth be in the celebrity softball game during All-Star Weekend?
I've not been invited to be in it. Start with an invitation, I believe.
So no invite yet.
No, I think that's pretty important.
You and
the answer would be a yes, I suppose, if I was invited, but I have not been invited to do it.
I could just see you and Snoop Dogg like patrolling the outfield.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I wear my wrist. I mean, you know me. I'd bring out all the gear.
4 walks. And here comes Real Muto. Marlins Live should be an interesting show here tonight because you get an update, maybe a little better idea of the finger of Justin Nicolino. Don Mattingly's press conference, clubhouse reaction. That's all coming up on Marlins Live. Craig Minervini, Jeff Nelson. Jessica Blaylock is with us tonight as well. Real Muto, a little tapper out toward short. Galvis charges and fires to first in time to get the out. Bohr's in scoring position for a Derek Dietrich at bat.
See this nice play by Galvis, has to charge and only play to first base. Quick exchange. The speedy Real Muto.
Luis wants to know, hey, what's the deal with Stanton? Any update? I believe, and just for your benefit, we'll double check, but I believe Stanton was just taken out to get the rest of the night off. A 7-1 game. Once you get to the late innings, put Ichiro in there.
At the same time, get Ichiro an opportunity at an at-bat or two. Still in line for another at-bat, maybe in the 8th inning. Ichiro had been swinging the bat. A couple of nice at-bats leading into tonight's ball game. Marlins are going to go a little stretch here without a day off. Good opportunity to get him at least a half a game off.
You might see an A.J. Ellis behind the plate tomorrow. Real Muto's had a run of games without a day off. You could see one of the outfielders, maybe Stanton, get tomorrow off and Ichiro get a start. And friend tweets, I'll be there for the All-Star game. Is there one can't miss thing that I should do while I'm in Miami?
You might be a little bit more equipped to answer that question than I.
Well, you could go on one of those boat rides out in the Everglades. That's cool. You could go to Joe's Stone Crab. That's probably cooler.
South Beach.
You have to dress a little better for Joe's than the Everglades.
Than the Everglades, right.
People watch at South Beach. Swing and a miss. Ball's in the dirt, and it's going to roll to the dugout. Dietrich's going to get safely to first. And Bohr ends up at third. And so JT Riddle's going to get an at bat with runners at the corners.
Now watch the diving action on this slider right here. It's going to get all the way down. Hit just past home plate. Got more ricochet tonight off Rupp. You see it right there. Gets all the way over to the Phillies dugout. He's able to beat it out at first base. Set up an RBI opportunity for JT Riddle. With 2 outs in the 7th inning.
You could go have key lime pie in Key West.
You could do that.
I'm all about dessert, so that's right in my strike zone.
There's a lot of things to do. I mean, that's the one thing I have learned here in 2017, my first 3 months here.
The Clevelander.
You could do that too.
The one on South Beach and the one here at Marlins Park. Maybe Domino's in Little Havana. Well, that's why we have social media night. So for all the fans out there that are with us, if you've got one thing that you would do, if you were coming in for the All-Star game, aside from home run contest, All-Star game, red carpet parade, what would it be here in South Florida? That is strike 3. An emphatic call from Doug Eddings. And down goes JT Riddle. 7-1 Miami. Now that's a good place to be in South Florida.
Holding on to a 7-1 lead. Hey, one thing that the Marlins have been able to do so far this season, damage with the long ball. Take a look at the home run leaders for the National League East, because you're going to see 3 different Marlins players on that list. Giancarlo Stanton with 14, Justin Bohr and Marcell Ozuna with 13 apiece. Guys, Stanton and Ozuna, of course, adding to their totals tonight in this game, but really good to see that balance when it comes to power for the Fish.
Hey, Jess, got a question for you.
Sure.
All right, so you have a friend coming to the All-Star game, and the friend asks you, what one thing should I do down here in South Florida?
Which is a great question, because there is so much to do here in South Florida. But one of the things that I suggested, you have to get Cuban food. South Florida is known for authentic Cuban food. Cafe Versailles, it's just a few blocks away from the ballpark. Come to the game, they stay open late, go and get yourself some authentic Cuban food.
Well, that's a really good call.
Good answer. I wouldn't have given that answer. I don't know.
You haven't been to Cafe Versailles yet.
Right, exactly.
Ty Kelly is up for the Phillies. Kelly an 0 for 2. Fastball for a strike, and it's 2-1. And Brian Ellington is throwing hard, and he did on his way out of the bullpen. He struck out all 3 faced in the 7th, and he's got the 8th. Freddie Galvis and then Brock Stassi for the Phillies. Brickell Avenue is a very cool place to hang out too. That's you could walk around there for half a day, visit all the cool restaurants and bars on one of those all-star days. I haven't heard where the red carpet parade is going to be. If it will be on Brickell or will it be on South Beach? That's a investigative question that you got to get a handle on.
Yeah, well, that's my job this winter, is to, once we get to the end of the season, kind of explore South Florida again. It's been a long time. Glad to be back. Family's great to be here, but we jumped right into school. Got, you know, kids, everything going on there, and baseball is in full swing. Haven't really done much exploring yet.
You just need a night out,
right,
with a babysitter at home.
That's right.
Right?
You got it. That's what I'm complaining about.
Kelly walks, and Freddie Galvis is up. Now, the initial report is that Brickell will host the red carpet parade, and the parade will go down Brickell and end at the AAA. Is that right? Okay, that's the initial. Our initial source has that, but we'll try to confirm that as well. Galvis right now in a 3-for-28 slide. And that's really, if you've watched the Marlins over the last month, you know that for Miami, it was a different thing every night. For the Phillies, some key hitters have just really scuffled. The Phillies bullpen has been really good and hasn't had many hiccups at all.
They haven't been handed many leads. That's part of the problem they're dealing with. Talked about it a little bit last night. A.J. Ramos and his opportunities this year, few and far between to pick up that save. Back to Neris, isn't getting many opportunities either. 4 of 5.
Bobby says, or tweets, to the Intercoastal Waterways Tour. We've had a few Cafe Versailles recommendations. Talked about the Everglades Tour. Go get you some gator nuggets.
Gator nuggets?
Yeah, it's close to your house. As are the gators, you learned.
Well, right, but I've never heard gator nuggets.
Take the kids, they'll love it.
Do share. What's a gator nugget?
You got to take the trip.
All right.
Two to Galvis. Kelly's at first, and it's out. Oh, and by the way, Jay just reminded me that after you finished the MVP talk in the East, before you got your Marlin MVP out, Ozuna hit a homer, and you never were able to give your MVP.
Rich, I have a couple of suggestions.
All right. 3-2. Liner, foul. Craig, you have suggestions on the MVP or on things to do?
No, on things to do.
All
you
right.
guys handle the MVP. Just a couple. Zoo Miami is a really great, Ron McGill over there, great little day getaway. Or even if you're up in the Palm Beach area, the Lion Country Safari, great getaway. And the Rapids Water Park. Have you ever been up there in West Palm Beach?
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Good family outing.
All right, we'll put that on the list. 3-2 coming, and it's up and it's out, and all of a sudden Ellington having trouble dialing it in. And he may get a visit here from Juan Nieves. Nobody out. What you would like if you're Don Mattingly is you'd like it to stay at 6 runs, and you'd like not to have to heat up Ramos. But if the Phillies creep closer, the manager would have no choice. All right, so who is your Marlins MVP? Let's get back to Jay.
Well, I did get it in actually quite quickly. It was Ozuna. That's who my MVP has been. We've talked about him in early April. We've talked about him in late April. We talked about him a lot in May. And to me, that's kind of the evidence that you need for what an MVP is. Consistent, consistently good. He's hit for power. He's made the adjustments. Even struggled a little bit. Bounced out of that.
Stassi's second at bat, and here comes that visit from Nieves, and Miami's bullpen is starting to activate.
27 pitches for Ellington. He's really just kind of struggled with the fastball on the outside part of the plate, particularly the left-handed hitters. So good there, dialed it up a few times in his first inning of work. 98, 99 miles an hour, able to pop that corner. For this inning, tailing action, ball almost running off that corner, not able to pick up those same strikes.
Nick Wickren starts to warm up. We've got this question. I'll bring Craig in for this as well. We've had a few people ask, Chelsea in particular, the status on Adeiny Echeverria and Martin Prado. Last we heard, they were starting to swing the bat, some baseball activities. Craig, what have you heard?
Yeah, still a little bit to go. I think it's good to see him out there. Occasionally they've been out stretching, but they're still at least a couple of weeks away from getting back. I think that's a good sign, though, because with Prado, you really didn't know when he first had that hamstring. It was worse than the first time, guys. So we'll see on that note. And obviously for Echeverria, another tough situation. The good news for Miami is you don't have to rush him back the way JT Riddle has played. And obviously Rojas got the cast off, and he's hoping to be back sooner than later, but you're still looking at, if everything goes well, All-Star break time.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Stassi. And as well, you're looking at a pretty significant ramp up in minor league rehab games for all three of those guys. You don't come off an injury after 6 weeks out and just jump right back into playing games. So when you're ready to go, you still have about a week's worth of games to prove that you can play. And that's at the very minimum. Here's a 2-1 pitch, and it's up. And so Ellington now at 3-1.
You see the pitch total climbing to that dominant first inning, struggling with his command here. You see Herrera on deck for the Philadelphia Phillies.
And so Ellington, who was perfect in the 7th, he struck out all 3 that he's faced, has walked all 3 that he's faced here in the 8th. And as Wickren rushes to get warm, the bags are loaded, there's nobody out. This is the pitcher spot in the order, and the Phillies are going to call upon Odubel Herrera. And Don Mattingly is not going to wait. Wickren will get one more throw in, maybe 2. Don Mattingly asks for the baseball. Miami makes a pitching change. The Phillies have the bags loaded. There's nobody out. Nick Wickren is in. Wickren, 15 appearances and a 3.15 ERA. This was a Justin Nicolino start, and remember, he went just 3 innings. He left with a contusion on that left index finger. His finger hit by a bunt. You can see Wickren has worked 3 of the last 4. Asked to come in here and stop this uprising. And he's going to face a hitter that when the Marlins saw him in April was going okay, but since then has really struggled and lost his starting job. And of course, this is a guy that the Phillies gave a 5-year contract to for $30 million with options beyond that, 22 and 23. Coming off a nice year last year and a very good 2015.
Now for Nick Wickren, he's been outstanding of late. Last 4 2/3 over 5 appearances, only 1 hit allowed. Good spot for him right here. 6 strikeouts in that stretch. Throwing the ball very well. Obviously walking into a bases loaded jam here in the 8th.
Odubel Herrera. '25-year-old Venezuelan.
Ball down.
Now Wickren goes 2-0. Dustin McGowan went 3. Had a big rip. He's trying to end his slump all in one swing.
Yeah, really went out to go get that one. Herrera did. He's guessing a fastball away. Really wanted to go out and get it and pull. See how those hands get away from his body? Big uppercut right there.
Miami has an infield shift on. Liner to left, pretty well hit. Ozuna goes back, squares up, makes the catch. Runner at third tags. That's Kelly, and he scores. The other runners hold. And Herrera knocks in a run with a sacrifice fly. That's got to feel good for him, who's just been in a miserable slump.
Well, nice little adjustment right there. We talked about how he had gone out on the 2-0 pitch and really tried to pull. Stayed on that one right there and able to drive it the other way. For the Marlins right now, you're willing to trade a run or 2 for an out here in the 8th. Particularly that type of out. The runner from third could score. The 2 runners could not advance on that sacrifice fly.
And a strike to Howie Kendrick. Kendrick blasted one to straightaway center. That was the only blemish on McGowan's 3 innings. The 0-1 pitch is in. Wickren's 1-1 is fouled back and out of play.
After the first 2 balls, Herrera's locked it back in again.
Diamondbacks shut out Pittsburgh 3-0. Of course, Diamondbacks are here on Thursday night for 4. That's a team that has played quite well this year. And the Marlins will end up in Pittsburgh for a 4-game series of their own at the end of the next road trip. 1-2 breaking ball is flipped foul and out of play.
Kendrick doing his part to spoil a couple of good pitches right there from Whitgren. Fastball away. Keep it down at the knees. Slider right there.
Missed down. I heard Doug Eddings say that. And there isn't a ball that's down. That last pitch was the one that's right at the hollow of the knees, as they say. So a break for Kendrick and a 2-2 from Whitgren with runners first and second. That one fouling out of play. The Nationals and the Giants are back at it. Gio Gonzalez and Jeff Smarja meeting. Smarja okay after that collision with Michael Morse the other day. The two biggest Giants.
I have to laugh.
This one is going to send Ichiro back, and at the track, Ichiro's there and he makes the catch. Tagging second is Galvis, and he ends up at third base. So Whitgren has a couple fly ball outs, and now he's got big Aaron Altair to face. Mets and Brewers are 4-4 up in New York in the 8th inning. Atlanta's still in Anaheim to face Los Angeles. And I think that covers all of the East. Dodgers winning again in St. Louis, 7-3, 8th inning. Dodgers will be 13 over if they win that game.
Cardinals really on a slide. Last the Marlins saw the Cardinals, they were kind of kicking it into gear and playing good baseball.
Cody Bellinger's a name that we didn't see pop up on those all-star votes. He's played some first base, he's played some outfield, but he's certainly worthy of consideration.
Since April 27th, 11 home runs. Has he just not been around long enough?
New name on a team that's got some bigger names on it, but yeah, I think the fact that he showed up in late April and now he's got 11 homers.
He's probably getting some votes in and around LA. Wonder if he's getting the national support that a lot of times is necessary. Certainly, you know, you look at what the Dodgers have accomplished since the date I just gave you. 22-8 since April 27th. It almost coincides with Bellinger and the 11 home runs that he's provided since he's arrived.
Just out. Let's take a look.
Whitgren has made some really close pitches. Coupled it.
It's out.
Hendrick certainly is, but has definitely been able to find those corners and get to those corners.
I love the addition of the little blue halo.
See all that action on the corner. There it is.
He got him, and Whitgren strikes out Altair and slows down the Phillies. Just a run. And the Phillies lead 2. Miami's lead is 7-2. bottom 8 rolls around. In case you don't know, the #1 app for Major League Baseball and all live sports is MLB.com @bats. Get you connected with Major League Baseball, all kinds of cool stuff. Game day, video highlights, radio broadcast, StatCast, news. John Chimchuk, his exclusive scouting reports on there, our baseball historian. Download MLB.com @bats today. Here we are in Miami. Emails and tweets tonight. 2 new participants to the game. Please welcome Tyler Moore in the batter's box. He'll hit the 9 spot, and he fouls off a Hector Neris pitch. Odubel Herrera, who pinch hit, had a sacrifice flies in center. There is the aforementioned Neris. So the Phillies have run a lot of arms out there, trying to soak up the innings after Vince Velasquez left with a strain in his elbow. More season numbers. Yo wants to know, do you guys use digital or paper scorecards, and why?
You can answer for both of us.
I'm right now a paper guy. I've seen on the iPads they have many of the digital scorecards. For me, I like having something that I can write on. The digital ones, though, are cool. Two-1 pitch to Moore. So, I mean, this is a page from what my scorecard usually looks like.
You keep your book for constant reference. I do not, though. I do sheets.
Yeah, and I've got sheets too. Like here's a Phillies sheet. We've got notes up here from each team, plus a pack of stats. Moore blasts one up into the upper reaches of foul territory.
Definitely advocates for recycling.
Each team provides a set of game notes. If you want to see those, we can do that too. These are game notes. That's Marlin game notes, Philly game notes.
Look at this guy. That's how prepared he is.
Yeah, even some Marlin stuff on there too.
Always doing his homework.
No, not really, but thanks for the props.
You're always doing your homework. Who are you kidding?
And Moore strikes out. But I have seen some broadcasters using the digital scorebook. And now that you can use a stylus, you can literally write on the screen and into the boxes. So that's pretty cool. Someday I may read it.
To be really technologically advanced to do that.
Yeah, our IT support here in the booth is not strong.
No.
So
between you and me, I'm still figuring out my iPhone.
That's why you have kids.
It's true.
D. Gordon has 2 hits. Takes fastball out. Alex wants to know, in your time in Chicago, did you ever get to hang out with Bill Murray?
No. Well, hang out with him. Well, I guess it depends on how. He's a busy man, escorted everywhere he goes. But trust me, he's got an entourage everywhere he goes. Now, certainly have met him, talked to him multiple times at Wrigley Field. In fact, I've met a lot of people at Wrigley Field, especially last year. Very, very common. Even back to my playing days as a Cub. When the Cubs are rolling, the A-list comes out, and they get very engaged and involved. So, over the last couple seasons, obviously with Joe Maddon, his very likable bunch, the Chicago Cubs, Brizzo, and everything else that's going on, brings out a lot of A-listers. So, yeah, you get to meet a lot of people. And
I'm more interested in the B-listers. Or the C-listers.
Well, they're there too. I'm just saying, I mean, you can take it as high as you want. I mean, I was showing you pictures earlier this season. I mean, I'm sitting with the mayor. I'm sitting with Eddie Vedder. I mean, you know, over and over and over again. You know, our post game, you know, we did one of the last shows I did in Chicago was for the parade, and sitting by me on set was John Cusack, CM Punk as well, and my partner at the time, Dave Kaplan. So yeah, we get to, you know, kind of roll with the A-list, and certainly that's kind of how it went there in Chicago.
Now you're sitting next to me.
I couldn't be in a better spot.
No, you're like
that's the truth.
I'm on the D list at this point.
No, you're on my A list.
3-2, and it's out, and Gordon walks.
I am thrilled beyond words to be right where I am.
Gordon's aboard. Here comes Ichiro. Jake wants to know if we coordinated the purple shirts. And that would be a no.
No, I didn't even notice till now that we both had purple on.
Ichiro struck out back in the 6th. Chance that he gets a start tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow's game is a 1 o'clock start, not on Fox Sports Florida. There are a small handful of games that we do not televise. I think with the Sun Sports games, right now we're up to 153 out of 162, and then others are picked up as a Fox game, an FS1 game, an ESPN Sunday night game. And tomorrow you got Dan Straley against Aaron Nola. It's a pretty good pitching matchup.
We do our best to be here every day.
MLB Network, I believe you'll get the Phillies feed of the game tomorrow. Come on out and see the ball game. Or listen to Marlins radio with the Hall of Famer Dave Van Horn and Glenn Geffner. Ichiro, I think, lost track, or he did not hear. Maybe he didn't hear the umpire, or maybe he lost track of the count. Yeah, you're right. There would be no umpire with the swing, so he apparently lost track. Yelich now. And Yelich takes in.
Goes to show you how good Neris has been. The Phillies put him into obviously their bullpen last year, now into the closer's role. It's not a safe situation, but going back to last year, there's now 1 strikeout in 55 of his last 63 appearances.
As we told you, the problems for the Phillies have not been in the bullpen. Bullpen's ERA a full run lower than the rotations. They had that long scoreless streak as well. And that was in the middle of this losing skid. Almost a 23 inning streak without giving up a run, second longest in baseball this year. Gordon still at first. Yelich knocks it foul.
Win tonight. Phillies will, the Marlins will have taken back-to-back series.
Saw Vance Worley in Miami's bullpen. Change up. Yelich stays alive. Arizona arrives on Thursday. Diamondbacks have had just a really nice run. Arizona has seen the Dodgers nudge past them with their hot streak. But Arizona's 10 over right now, 32 and 22. I told you they shut out Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh So that's a weekend series. Paul Goldschmidt having a nice year. David Peralta's hot. Top of the order, Chris Owings.
Nice bat by Christian Yelich right here. Spoiled 3 consecutive 3-2 pitches.
There they are, scatter shot. Number 10 is coming. And it's out. So Yelich walks. And it's a Marcell Ozuna at bat. That look tells it all. Bob McClure, the pitching coach, on the right. Pete Buchanan, the manager, on the left. Not only tonight, but what the Phillies have endured. And Miami knows exactly how this ball club feels. The Marlins had a very similar losing skid when they got to this weekend and finally took 2 of 3 from the Angels. And now if they can get 3 outs in the 9th inning and protect a 5-run lead at the very least, Miami will have another series win, having beaten the Phillies last night.
Marcell Ozuna continues to swing the bat very well at home this year. Big night for him tonight.
Yeah, he's found hits over the middle, singles, and a hit over the fence in left. Home run number 13. Got to get Ozuna and Real Muto to sit down and talk about why JT hit so well on the road and why Marcell hit so well at home.
Put them together. That's a good question.
Real Muto's always been, not always, but the last couple of years has been among the league leaders in road batting average. Ozuna fouls it off. It's 1-2. And down goes Ozuna. Neris walks a couple, strands those runners. 9th inning, 7-2 Miami. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, get great deals on the Jeep lineup at the Jeep Spring Clearance events. Now by your South Florida Honda dealers. In Miami tonight, 7-2. Marlins on top of the Phils. On a slow drive down South Beach. Vance Worley now. The job for Vance Worley is not only to finish this game, but keep A.J. Ramos in a seated position, or at least keep him from having to heat up. Worley here in the ninth.
Also going to be interesting, not that it affects tonight's ball game, but to find out the status of Nicolino and how that affects Worley as well.
Well, as Blanco stands in. That one fouled back. On Thursday, Jeff Locke is scheduled to pitch and make the start against the Diamondbacks, and that was Worley's spot in the rotation, albeit for 2 brief starts. And I'm sure with Nicolino, it's going to take first an X-ray, and if there's no break, a few days to figure out what type of feeling he's got in his finger. You don't want to have a pitcher adjust his throwing motion because of an injury and risk injuring something else. Blanco drills one right field corner. It's curling and it's foul. Worley, a former Philly. Bouncer to third. Dietrich gathers it, fires to first in time. By the way, just for those that have been with us throughout the game, especially in that 5th inning, Joe Frizzaro of MLB.com, Marlins reporter, has this tweet. From what I've been told, and this is Frizzaro, from what I've been told, the small girl who was struck by the foul ball is going to be fine, a bruise, but is okay.
Wow.
So
let's hope. Fantastic report. Glad to hear that.
Let's hope all that comes true.
Thanks for the update.
Cameron Rupp now with 1 out. Yelich is there and he makes the catch. And Vance Worley doing exactly what Don Mattingly had hoped he would do. 2 quick outs, needs 1 more. Put this one away. Marlins would have a 3-game win streak. They will have won 4 of their last 5 and have a decidedly different feel and look to them as they did going into that Angels series. Marlins Live after the game. We'll get you an update on Nicolino's finger. Jessica will visit with Marcell Ozuna. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson will be by as well. We will see you guys on Thursday night with the Diamondbacks. In the air left field, Ozuna with a homer and 3 hits will make the catch. Ball game, and the Marlins win another 7-2. They take down the Phillies. They've won this series, but certainly they would love a sweep, and they'll go for that tomorrow. Miami drops the Phillies to 17-33, and the Fish improved to 20-30.
Nice job by the Marlins tonight. Offense gets rolling early. Bullpen, big players in tonight's ball game, and certainly in the win. Good job.
7-2 the final. The Marlins take down the Phillies. Marlins Live is coming up.